In 1943, the American backyard went to war. Families planted at least 20 million victory gardens, and by 1944, those little plots behind ordinary houses were growing around 40% of the nation's fresh vegetables. And those gardens ran on almost nothing bought. Nothing that could rot, feed a hen, or heat a seedbed was ever thrown away, because the families running them could not afford a failed season. Last year, Americans spent $79 billion on lawns and gardens, an all-time record, and in the very same year, 4.5 million households quit gardening entirely. Record spending, record quitting. Somewhere along the way, we dropped the toolkit and started renting it back one bag at a time. This video covers 15 of those forgotten methods and what each one honestly earns today. Fair warning, when I say a number, I mean revenue, not profit, and I will separate the two every time. One of these methods turns the darkest corner of a garage into the most expensive vegetable crop in England. A crop so valuable it is still harvested by candlelight, because even 1 hour of light ruins it. The garage is the engine of all 15. Workshop, nursery, forcing house, storehouse. The yard is the growing floor. We build it the way a family would have. The wood first, then the boxes, then the soil, then the living workers, then the tricks against the calendar. And last, the harvest that pays in winter. Method 1 is the coppice patch. Poles, stakes, bean sticks, trellis rods. Today you buy them in plastic wrap bundles. Your grandparents' generation grew them from a stump that refuses to die. Cut a willow or a hazel to the ground, and it throws up a ring of straight new shoots. In a few years, those shoots are poles. Cut them, and the stump does it again. And English coppice stumps have been cycling like this for hundreds of years. It is the only lumber supply on Earth that gets stronger the more you harvest it. A strip a few feet wide along a fence line is enough. Push a fresh willow cutting into damp ground in late winter, and it roots itself. Cuttings are cheap or free, depending on your area. And the quiet first income. Live willow cuttings sell by mail, commonly $10 to $30 a bundle. Revenue, not profit, but your input is a stump that regrows. Difficulty, 1 out of 5, with an honest ramp of 2 to 3 years to your first real harvest. What kills this business is impatience in dry soil. Willow hunts moisture, so plant it far from septic lines and foundations. But rods lying on the ground are worth almost nothing. Their value starts at a bench. Method 2 is the weaving bench. For centuries, woven panels called wattle hurdles fenced gardens across Europe. Uprights in a row, rods woven between, ends twisted back. No nails, no glue. The tension holds. The same weave makes trellis panels, climbing plant obelisks, and plant supports. Factory willow obelisks sell for around $30 at the big box stores. A hand-woven one is visibly different from 10 feet away, and that difference is the price. Handmade pieces commonly run from around $40 for small supports to over $100 for large obelisks. The tool list is one line. Bypass pruners and a folding pruning saw at about $18. Woven pieces sell at farmers markets and garden centers locally, and smaller pieces ship. So this one is both local and mail order. And before you weave a single panel to sell, do the check that runs through this whole video. Find one real sold listing in your area. Then call 2 potential buyers, a garden center manager, a market organizer, and ask what they would pay. No 2 straight answers, no spending. That rule covers all 15 methods. Difficulty, 2 out of 5. What kills this business is selling your labor too cheap. Count your hours honestly, or the hobby eats the business. A woven fence guards a garden, but nothing grows in a fence. The garden needed boxes. Method 3 is the box shop. Around the year 820, monks drew a plan for an ideal monastery at St. Gall in Switzerland. Its kitchen garden is 18 neat, edged, rectangular raised beds. That layout is 1,200 years old, and it is almost line for line the raised bed garden sold to you today as a modern innovation at kit prices. The beds were narrow so a kneeling gardener could reach the middle without stepping on the soil. Raised soil drains in a wet year, warms earlier, and never packs down. The old gardeners built the edges from mud and sticks. You have something better at every lumberyard. The cheap fence board. A standard 6-foot cedar picket runs about $4. 2 pickets and a handful of screws make a planter box, and the full cut math is a video of its own on this channel. Finished planter boxes and raised bed frames sell locally at farm stands, plant nurseries, and neighborhood marketplaces. Local only, because shipping kills the margin on a wooden box, and I will not pretend otherwise. Difficulty, 2 out of 5 with a saw and a drill. What kills this business is material creep. Upgrade to premium lumber because it looks nicer and the arithmetic dies. The fence board is the business, but an edged bed full of soil is still just a box of dirt. The engine was what went into it. Method 4 is the compost bank. On the old farms, muck was treated like money because it was money. Manor records tracked manure the way ledgers tracked grain. The household heap was banked and guarded like a savings account. Kitchen scraps, crop waste, bedding, ash, layered wet against dry, turned every few weeks to keep it breathing. And when you build a heap right, something strange happens inside. Within days, the core runs hot enough that you cannot hold your hand in it, hot enough to steam on a frozen morning. For now, that heat is proof the heap is working. But keep it in mind, it comes back as the strangest method your great-grandparents ever used. Finished compost sells locally by the bag and trailer load, commonly $5 to $10 a bag. Revenue, not profit, and at garage scale this is a small earner. Its real value is feeding every method that follows, from inputs that are cheap or free depending on your area. Leaves, clippings, coffee grounds, stable bedding from barns glad to lose it. Difficulty, 1 out of 5. What kills this business is neighbors and noses. A wet, airless heap smells. Turned and layered, it smells like forest floor. A heap has a hot core, but it also has cool edges, and something has wanted to live in those edges for as long as there have been heaps. Method 5 is the worm bin. Composting worms, called red wigglers, turn kitchen scraps into castings. A crumbly black material gardeners buy at prices that make bagged fertilizer look embarrassed. Worms were simply in every old heap. The only modern thing is the bin. And here's the garage truth. Red wigglers work hardest between roughly 55 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. An uninsulated garage in a cold winter state drops below that, and a hard freeze can kill a bin. The honest math includes insulation or a small heater with its electricity counted, or production crawling for 2 months. Anyone promising full speed year-round in Minnesota is selling something. Castings sell locally, commonly around $3 a pound in 10-pound bags. The worms sell locally to bait shops and by mail as composting stock, and a pound of red wigglers commonly lists between $35 and $45. Revenue, not profit. First call, a bait shop. I raise red wigglers locally. What do you pay per 100 count from your current supplier? The answer tells you the whole local market. Difficulty, 2 out of 5. What kills this business is overfeeding. A sour bin crashes fast. Feed less than feels right. The cool edge feeds the worms. But that hot core I told you to remember, the old gardeners saw it as a furnace. Method 6 is the hotbed, and it sounds like a myth. Take fresh horse manure, stack it into a deep bed, tread it firm, cap it with fine soil. The fermenting heap underneath becomes a radiator that runs for weeks. Sow onto that warm cap in late winter, and seeds germinate as if it were May, while frost sits beside the frame. Roman gardeners used this trick to keep the Emperor Tiberius in his daily, out-of-season cucumber 2,000 years ago. By the early 1700s, English gardeners were ripening pineapples in Northern Europe on fermentation heat alone. Today we burn gas for the same job the horse once did. Fresh manure is cheap or free depending on your area. Most stables pay to have it hauled. Now the honest label. The hotbed sells nothing directly. It is an enabling method. It manufactures the next method's product, Seedling, 6 to 8 weeks before anyone else in your zip code without a heated greenhouse. We do not pretend an enabler is an earner. Its pay shows up one method downstream. Difficulty, 3 out of 5. What kills it is sowing onto a bed still spiking. Wait for the soil cap to settle below 90 degrees. What the hotbed starts in February, the garage finishes in April. Method 7 is the seedling nursery. Box stores sell oceans of seedlings trucked 1,000 miles, half stressed on arrival. The old pattern, little and often, always something rising behind what was just planted, turns a garage into a neighborhood nursery for one glorious, brutal spring. Seedlings sell locally only. Farm stands, plant swaps, driveway sales. Vegetable starts commonly sell for $3 to $6 each, and a single shelf unit holds 200 to 400 plants. Sellers need a nursery dealer license in most states, and here is the surprise. It typically costs $5 to $40 a year. That is the activity check. Zoning is the separate check because driveway sales may have their own local rules. Call both offices. Revenue, not profit. Subtract seed, cells, soil mix, and the light bill. And here is the time off truth for the whole video. Spring does not care about your weekend plans. From March to May, seedlings need attention every single day, and a missed watering kills in hours. If you cannot be present for 8 straight weeks or trade coverage, this method is not for you, and several others on this list are. Difficulty, 2 out of 5, but calendar discipline is the real skill. What kills this business is damping off, a fungus that fells whole trays overnight. Clean trays, moving air, water from the bottom. Seed is one way to multiply a plant. The old gardeners had a faster way, and it costs nothing. Method 8 is the cuttings bench. Snip a finger-length shoot of lavender or rosemary. Strip the lower leaves, stick it in damp mix, keep it humid. In a few weeks it has roots, a new plant identical to its parent from material you would have pruned anyway. One healthy lavender yields dozens of cuttings a year. A bench that turns one $12 plant into a shelf of $12 plants. But this method carries the sharpest legal edge on the list in 2 separate questions. Question 1, the activity. Propagating plants for sale makes you a nursery in most states, under that same inexpensive dealer license with paperwork that takes several weeks. Question 2, the place. Home zoning may limit on-site sales even when the license is easy. 2 offices, check both. And 1 hard line. Patented varieties, and many modern name varieties are patented, may not legally be propagated for sale at all. Propagate old, open varieties. They are usually the tougher plants anyway. Rooted perennial starts sell locally at markets and to independent nurseries, commonly $5 to $15 each, and some growers ship bare root by mail. Revenue, not profit. Difficulty, 2 out of 5. What kills this business is ROT before roots. Humidity without airflow is a petri dish. Cuttings copy a plant. One more trick copies a plant onto another plant's legs. Method 9 is the grafting bench. Apples do not come true from seed. Plant the seeds of the best apple you ever ate, and you get wild, bitter strangers. Every named apple variety on Earth survives only as an unbroken chain of grafts, some 500 years long. Monasteries traded graft wood the way libraries traded books. An old orchard is a living archive. The move. Cut a shoot from a tree that bears good fruit. Splice it onto a cheap young rootstock. Match the cut edges where the sap runs. Bind the joint. The shoot takes over and the fruit will be the good apple every time. It is winter bench work done in January and February, exactly when the rest of this list sleeps. Rootstocks run roughly $3 to $6 a piece, and a grafting knife about $20. A successful graft grown on for a season or 2 is a fruit tree, and young grafted trees commonly retail between $25 and $45 locally. The strongest per unit price on this list, and people pay over $100 for a weekend class just to learn the skill. Heritage varieties the box stores never carry sell on the story as much as the tree. Same 2 legal checks as cuttings, and the same patent line. Graft old, open varieties. Revenue, not profit. Difficulty, 4 out of 5, honestly. Expect your first winter's grafts to mostly fail, and the ramp to first sale is 2 to 3 years. What kills this business is a cambium mismatch. The green growing layers must touch, or nothing happens at all. Everything so far has wanted light. The most valuable method on this list demands darkness. This is the method I promised you at the start. Method 10 is the dark corner. In a 9 square mile triangle of West Yorkshire, England, farmers still do something that sounds invented. Every winter, after the frost has done its work, they dig up rhubarb crowns and carry them into long, windowless sheds. Total darkness. The stress triggers growth so fast the stalks can rise more than an inch a day. Stand in the shed and you can hear it growing. The harvest is done by candlelight because ordinary light toughens the stalks and stops the growth cold. They have done it this way for more than 200 years. Forced rhubarb is sweeter, more tender, and more valuable than anything grown in a field. And Yorkshire forced rhubarb holds the same protected origin status as champagne. Not a metaphor, the same legal designation. Triangle growers sell it for around 7 pounds per kilogram at the farm, and farm shops charge roughly double. A forcing shed is a dark, cool room, so a blacked out garage corner with a crate over a dormant crown is a forcing shed. Rhubarb and its winter cousin chicory run on the same trick, a root full of stored energy. Cold first, then darkness, then warmth. The plant spends everything it saved, in your garage, in February. Forced stems sell locally at a premium, at winter markets, and above all to chefs, because they arrive in the dead season when menus are desperate for color. First call, a farm-to-table kitchen in January. I will have candlelight forced rhubarb in 4 weeks. Does your winter menu want it, and at what price per pound? Revenue, not profit, and the volume from a garage corner is small. A premium method, not a volume method. Difficulty, 3 out of 5. The crown needs 2 seasons and real frost before its first forcing, then a year off to recover. What kills this method is light leaks and greed. Force the same crown 2 winters running and you kill it. The dark corner spends what a plant saved. The plants still standing in the beds were about to become next year, for free. Method 11 is seed saving, and it took discipline in a hungry spring. The best plants were deliberately not eaten. They stood, flowered, and set seed, and that seed was dried, sorted, and kept safe from damp and mice. The garage shelf is the modern somewhere. Do it 1 year and you have free seed. Do it for 10, always saving from the plants that did best in your soil and weather, and you breed a strain adapted to your exact backyard. Farmers call these land races, and seed banks hunt the last surviving ones as genetic treasure. Your grandparents ran that breeding program by default for nothing. Seed packets are this list's cleanest mail order product. Feather light, flat, shipped anywhere, and small growers commonly sell packets for $3 to $5. 2 checks again, and this one surprises people. Most states require a seed dealer or labeling permit with germination testing rules. The permit is typically inexpensive but allows several weeks. Zoning for a mail order business is usually the easy half, but confirm it for your area. Revenue, not profit. Difficulty, 2 out of 5 for the easy self-pollinators. Beans, peas, tomatoes, lettuce. What kills this business is a mislabeled cross. Sell 1 packet of butternut that grows into a mystery gourd, and your reputation is compost. Seed heads standing in autumn attract the plot's oldest enemies. The old answer was not a spray, it was a workforce. Method 12 is the pest crew. The old garden put its pest control on the payroll and had it lay breakfast. A small flock of hens on finished beds is a tillage crew, a slug patrol, and a grub vacuum, and the work comes back out as eggs and as manure for the compost bank. Geese mowed the orchard grass and cleaned the windfalls that carry pests forward. Modern agroforestry calls it silvopasture. Your great-grandparents called it the yard. Eggs sell locally only. The carton by the gate, the neighbors, the office. Backyard eggs commonly bring $5 to $8 a dozen depending on your area. and the quiet part out loud. A 12-hen flock selling its spare dozens typically clears $300 to $700 a year after feed and cartons. Real money, not a living. The bigger pay is the pest work, the manure, and the eggs you no longer buy. 2 checks, and this is where they bite hardest. Many towns cap bird counts, ban roosters, and some require a coop permit with inspection, so allow 2 to 8 weeks where permits apply. Zoning adds lot minimums and setbacks. 2 offices before a single chick is ordered. 1 garage note. Feed stored in a garage means rodent-proof metal cans, full stop. Difficulty, 2 out of 5 daily. What kills this business is predators. 1 unsecured night can end the flock. The coop is a vault or it is a buffet. The birds work the ground. The other workforce works the AIR. Method 13 is the hive. Bees lived at the old garden's edge in skeps, domes woven from straw, sometimes from the same rods as the weaving bench. Bees paid twice, once in pollination because everything sets heavier with bees in residence. Once in honey, for most old households the only sweetener they would ever taste, plus wax for the only clean-burning candles. 1 honest cost to record. Harvesting a skep usually meant killing the colony. The modern movable frame hive fixed that. Keep the skeps lesson, use the modern box. The garage earns its keep twice here. Extraction bench in late summer, wax bench all winter, because beeswax candles mail beautifully. Local raw honey sells for $10 to $16 a pound at farmers markets. And here is the number that explains the whole strategy. The average producer across all channels earns closer to $3 a pound. Selling direct is the entire business. Honey is local, candles are local, and mail order. Revenue, not profit. A first hive with bees and gear commonly runs several $100s, and first-year colonies often produce little surplus. So year 1 is a cost year, and I will not dress it up. Most states require apiary registration, typically cheap. Zoning often sets hive counts, setbacks, and flyway rules. Both offices before bees are ordered because packages sell out by late winter. Difficulty, 4 out of 5. Bees die on beginners, so take a local club course first. What kills this business is varroa mites, untreated. Not maybe, will. By August, a garden like this produces faster than any family can eat. The old answer hung from the rafters. Method 14 is the Rafter larder. Garlic braided while the tops are supple. Herbs bundled and hung stem up. Flowers dried whole for winter wreaths. Warm, dry, moving air. The top 3 feet of most garages from July to October was the old world's dehydrator, and it ran on nothing. This is the list stealth Christmas business. Garlic braids, herb bundles, and dried flower wreaths sell at fall and holiday markets, commonly listing from around $25 to $40 and up. Wreaths and bundles ship. Braids sell better local. Revenue, not profit, but the inputs are this garden's own surplus. 2-buyer rule before you braid 50 of anything. Call 1 holiday market organizer and 1 farm stand in September, and their answers set your run. Difficulty, 1 out of 5, the gentlest earner here. What kills it is damp. 1 humid corner molds a month of work, so airflow is everything. And a box fan in muggy weeks is honest overhead. What can dry, dries. What cannot had to sleep until the months when it pays the most. Method 15 is the clamp. Choose a dry spot. Pile roots and cabbages into a mound. Jacket the mound in straw. Seal it under packed earth, leaving a small straw chimney to breathe. Inside, the temperature holds just above freezing all winter, and the harvest sits in the dark, alive and dormant, until you open one end, take what the week needs, and seal it back. 0 energy, no building. A root cellar is only this method moved indoors, and the refrigerator did not beat the clamp on much. It mostly shrank it. The garage version is an insulated box in the coldest corner, and here is the honest physics. An attached garage in most of the country hovers near the target range all winter. A detached garage in a hard freeze state drops below it, and frozen potatoes are ruined potatoes. The honest math is a thermometer, a foam insulated box, and in the coldest states, shorter storage counted as a cost. Like the hotbed, the clamp sells nothing new. It is a margin method. It time shifts the harvest into January and February, when storage crops fetch their best winter market prices and the competition is a shipping container from another hemisphere. On this channel, a margin method gets called a margin method. Difficulty, 1 out of 5. What kills it is one rotten root sealed in with the sound ones. Cull hard going in. Now stand back from the 15 and one shape appears. Almost every method here is equipment you grow once and harvest forever. The coppice never runs out. The grafted tree bears for a century. The seed line improves itself every year. Modern gardening sells consumables, bagged, shipped, and used up by autumn. $79 billion of them last year. Your grandparents' garden was a balance sheet. It was built out of assets. That is the real thing we forgot. And the honest arithmetic, because that is what this channel is for. No single method here is a living. So let me run one illustrative garage built from the source prices in this video, not a promise. 300 spring seedlings at $4, $1,200. A season of woven pieces and planter boxes, roughly $2,000. A steady worm bin, several hundred. 100 rooted starts at $8, $800. 30 grafted trees at $30 in year 3, $900. 200 seed packets at $4, $800. A mature hive's honey and candles, several hundred in year 2. The Rafter larder, up to 1,000 in a good holiday season. Eggs, a few hundred after feed. Stacked at full build-out after a multi-year ramp, the honest ceiling is up to roughly $8,000 or $9,000 a year. In revenue, materials, feed, permits, and the light bill come out of that. And every price you just heard, you check against your own area before you spend $1, starting with 2 phone calls to 2 real buyers. In 1943, 20 million families proved a backyard could carry real weight because their grandparents handed them the toolkit. The knowledge outlived the people who wrote it down. Tonight, it just did again. So which one goes in your garage first? The worm bin, the dark corner, or the grafting bench? Tell me in the comments. Subscribe and keep building.